All right, welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, keeping our focus on the speech and some of the policies and the reactions that people have got. We've got Laulu Akonde, who is the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the Vice President. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, already there are reactions to this speech as it has to do with the economy, how things are faring at the moment, where we are, where they think we should be headed. And those assessments, well, they're not exactly thumbing up the performance of this administration. In light of those comments and perhaps the policies that government is putting in place, how do you relate with the comments that people have at the moment?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain, and my other colleagues for having me. Of course, you know, it's we live in a democracy, and we are quite willing to have people look at what it is that the president is doing critically, and you know, when we get useful feedback, it becomes something that we can also plowing back into policy and even in the way that we implement whatever programs it is that we are pushing. But I think the more important thing is that you have the president stating it clearly that he is committed, and he has shown over the past 5 years he's committed to the rule of law, to democracy. He wants to ensure that he leaves clearly a legacy of free and fair, credible, transparent elections. He wants the voters to be the ones to determine election in the real sense. And he has shown clear commitment to that. In the area of taking care of the interests of the people, the president has also shown that even at a time when the coffers of the nation is under tremendous pressure because of the decline and some of the global economic aftermath of COVID-19, that we are still spending a very significant amount of the resources left for the average Nigerian, whether it be in what we are doing with MSMEs, or even in the continuation of some of the social investment programs, or in fact, even in the pace that we are gathering in the area of infrastructural rehabilitation, I will say. So very clearly, this is a president that is committed to doing things better, improving on our scorecard, and taking Nigeria to that place of greatness that we all desire.
Well, you know, about the part where he talked about wanting the people to be in charge in terms of power, people being able to determine how they want with the electioneering process. But there are many who can't quite place it because the Electoral Act that was amended last time out, the 8th Assembly, was submitted to the president over 3 times, all were declined. Yes, he may have given his reasons, but now people would have thought that, look, that could have been or should have been the first thing that the government would have done in a way of, in a manner, hitting the ground running, so to speak. But as we speak, they still wonder. There seems to be a lot of foot dragging about ensuring that the Electoral Act is passed, sending people that message that we really want to have this done.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that is stopping the promoters of this act and the people who have the active responsibility in the National Assembly. There's nothing stopping them from reworking whatever the details of the act and presenting it for assent of Mr. President. You know, I have no doubt in my mind that the president will do whatever it is that is in the best interest of the Nigerian electorate. I think he has demonstrated it over and over again that he is not going to use his position as the president or the fact that he is the head of the ruling party to influence the outcome of elections. Each time he gives very firm instructions to the heads of the security agencies and everybody that involved, that what is important to him and what is important for Nigeria is for the people to be able to determine who their leaders are. So clearly, if the promoters of the Electoral Act and if the National Assembly people responsible for it, if they put together, an amendment, that meets the aspirations of Nigerians, there's no doubt at all that the president will take another look at it.
Well, before now, you also are aware that there have been serious criticism, backlash, if you like, of that comment where the president said that the fault lines are contrived and consequently shouldn't be given that much regard. And a number of people have come out to say, indeed, there are fault lines. And of course, the newspapers this morning is replete with comments from various people, including the INEC chairman who spoke yesterday on our program, that the fault lines are not contrived, that they are real. So in that regard, of course, the president said they are contrived. Now, that is some kind of feedback. What should we be doing to get people and the president on the same page about these fault lines?
Thank you very much. And of course, you wouldn't leave out the part where the president also called very clearly for a process of sincere national healing to begin. And according to the president, we see this 68th anniversary as an opportunity for us as Nigerians to come together to address whatever may be the underlying critical situation and challenges that we deal with. The president has never been one to deny, some of these challenges. Whether we call it fault lines, whether we call it, the challenges of diversity. He has always said, look, we have to ensure that the people, the voice of the people is heard, and we have to ensure that we together, coming together, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of the region we come from, to address whatever these problems are. And we as a government, led by the president, we are willing and able and ready to take the lead in the process of national healing that the president himself spoke very clearly about yesterday. So yes, we take the feedback, but the president already said in his speech that he is ready and that all Nigerians should be ready for a sincere process of national healing.
Well, in that, still in that light, part of the speech, at some point, he also did talk about how we needed to increase our commitment to peaceful coexistence in a peaceful, secure, and united Nigeria. But there are those who think that this may come across to them as lip service, because in the first instance, you have different regions who are coming up with their own security outfits. Yes, they've talked about community policing, but many still don't subscribe to it. They think that is not going to address the challenge that they face. In fact, many keep asking time and again that how many people have been arrested for having killed or as a result of the killings going on in different parts of the country. So they think that they need to put their money where their mouth is.
Clearly, and I agree with you. Now, one of the things that we should tell ourselves more about is that this is a federal government. While it is true that there are issues even in the area of security and even in the area of law enforcement, we need to understand that there are different tiers of government that has the responsibility for different duties. So, for instance, if there is a need, for somebody to be prosecuted and taken to court, most of the times, if it happened on local soil in the state, the local government and the state government have tremendous responsibility. The attorney generals in the state have tremendous responsibility to pursue prosecution. The police has the responsibility to conduct investigation but it will take the state government in most of these cases to pursue the prosecution. So the point I'm trying to make here is that it is a collaborative effort between the federal government and the state and local government to get these things done. A lot of the time, all of us are focused on the center. But our constitution is clear. The center has its own responsibilities, but it is important in our national dialogue, as a nation, to also, apply the pressure to places outside of the federal government that do have responsibilities for law enforcement and who clearly can do a better job. Now, as for the federal government, we are going forward with the idea of community policing because we believe that if we are able to engage the community more and more in policing, that is, putting the boots on the ground, where they are based, where they understand the language, where they understand the terrain, we have no doubt in our minds that will improve policing by itself. And of course, you are aware that the president, recently released about 13 billion for the commencement of community policing. So it is a responsibility that is shared. So let's make this truly a national dialogue and point out to different arms of government and different tiers of government what their responsibilities are.
Well, you just said now, very quickly, before I take the real feedback, the real backup that I want to get to the question. You just said now that the president has released 13 billion naira. What we heard was that there was an announcement that it's been budgeted. Has it been released indeed?
You remember that I believe it was the last National Economic Council meeting that was, we did make a statement that money has been released. The finance minister made that statement that money has been released for the implementation of community policing, and then the council decided, that the finance minister, the inspector general of police, and a number of governors should meet and decide what is the best way to go ahead and spend the money. I mean, what are the best models and strategies to make sure that the money does exactly what it is meant for? So yes, the money has been approved and released.
All right. Well, but then there was something also you said that there is a need for us, for the federating units to play their role in our federal government. It ties to the question that a number of people have raised about the fact that there are 68 items on the exclusive list and just 12 on the concurrent, where governors themselves, as well as the federal government, can have equal powers. But the 68 include all apparatus of security. As we all know, all crime is local. All solutions should be local. So if the states themselves do not have complete authority over their own security apparatus, how then we would be able to do some of these things that you are saying about them championing the security of their environment? And essentially, what then should we be doing? Aren't you also suggesting that maybe it's in line with what people are saying, that it's time for us to have state police?
Now, Ayo, I mean, that's a very good question. Now, but if you look at what we have currently, while we're not saying there isn't a need for a review, but if you look at what we have currently, the states have sufficient responsibility and authority for law enforcement. I'm talking about prosecution specifically. It is in many cases the responsibility of the state attorneys general to prosecute. You see, the power of prosecution is not necessarily federal. As a matter of fact, in many instances, it is the state that has the responsibility to prosecute. The federal government controls quite a bit of the security architecture. That is true. But what that does is that there is investigation, and then the case is transferred to the Attorney General's office. Particularly the Director of Prosecution. And so states already have all they need to go ahead and do the prosecution. And then when we move to the area of what happens in the court, that is the judiciary. It is up to the judiciary to make pronouncements as to guilty verdict or not guilty verdict, as to conviction and as to sentence. That's the judiciary. So the point I'm making here is that we need to speak to all these different tiers of government. We need to speak to different sectors in the society who have different roles to play. I concede the point that in the area of security, as the structure is, the federal government has a huge role to play. But that is limited to investigation of a crime. The prosecution of a crime and getting the case to conviction is in the hands of the state through the Attorney General and in the hand of the judiciary. This is the point I'm making. So that as we are talking about this thing, let us begin to direct our attention to the appropriate quarters.
Could you tell us, I mean, the economy is huge at any point in time. There's been several plans and programs of government, including the ASP. Now, yes, they say the government wants to lift 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. Now, people want to know how or what plan exists to see how businesses, SMEs, private sector-owned businesses can indeed be impacted, because many, as we speak, still don't feel any impact of any plan from the government.
Chamberlain, I'm going to challenge that. You know, there are several people that are feeling some of the things that we are doing in the area of the economy. And one of the approaches that Mr. President has adopted, you know, and for which, talking about the economy, he has given, you know, tremendous responsibility to his deputy, the vice president, is how to, you know, take this issue from the bottom up. And so you will see, and the president also spoke about this yesterday, you will see how much we have been able to do in the area of trader money. Trader money today in this country, Chamberlain, there are at least 2 million petty traders who have benefited from collateral-free, interest-free loans. Most of them 5,000, some of them 10,000, and a few even got up to the point of 15, because as you return the 5, you get a 10. So as we are sitting here, my brothers, there are 2 million Nigerians, who have benefited from this. There are almost about 1 million Nigerians who have benefited from farmer money, and another 800,000 who have benefited from the Anchor Borrowers Program, you know, that the CBN has been leading as we speak right now. There are 500,000 otherwise unemployed university, colleges of education, and polytechnic graduates who were just sitting at home. Today, their stories have changed. There are at least 1 million Nigerians who have benefited from the conditional cash transfer. And all of these points that I'm making, they can be easily cross-checked. So the point I'm making is that, yes, you know, it's a country of 200 million people. So we have to do a lot more. But like the president said yesterday, the truth of the matter, the fact that cannot be gainsaid, is that some of these things have never happened in Nigeria.
Okay, well,
even when the governments had much more money.
If you don't mind me butting in, just one moment. These facts that you are reeling out are valid as far as you or your office are concerned, because many people do not feel it. For instance, Channel Television put out a poll, and we had 7 items on the list. And it includes agriculture, transportation, housing, works and housing, humanitarian affairs, economy, security, power, energy, and all of that. Guess what? 71.32% of all who voted none performed well. The economy we are talking about comes 7th on that list. 1.13% of the people who voted said the economy and the finance in those two sectors were doing very well. So there seems to be a distance, a gap between what the government is doing and how the people are feeling it. How do we connect that?
Well, of course, you know, again, if you go back to the president's speech, he made it very clear. This is a time when there is indeed a global recession, especially because of the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. So when we get the feedback that quite a lot of people don't feel the impact, you can understand. And I was making a point that, look, it's a country of 200 million people, okay? I mean, that's a huge number. But that doesn't mean that there is no impact. And that doesn't mean that there wouldn't even be a greater impact. So that is why, for instance, the president asked the vice president to lead this effort with the economic sustainability plan. And the president said, you know what, you guys go and design a program that will sustain our economy, especially because of COVID-19. And what did the vice president and his team return with? They return with a plan that says, look, we have to put money in the hands of people. And so we came up with an unprecedented agenda, a plan that says we are going to infuse 2.3 trillion naira into this economy between now and next year, within a year. And that process has started already. The central bank alone has spent, I'm sure, about 500 billion in terms of giving loans, without asking for guarantors to MSMEs, to households, to different sectors in health, and we also have, clearly about 500 billion naira taken out of the budget to ensure that some of the areas of this plan go forward. Let me give you some of the ideas. So we have the MSMEs Survivor Fund that has started. So we already have hundreds of thousands of Nigerians that have applied. So it includes payroll support. We are going to be giving 3 months to companies, businesses, including private schools, hotel, tourism industry, people who lost income during the shutdown that followed the pandemic. Government is going to be paying the salaries of their staff, up to a point for 3 months, under the payroll support. These programs have started. Okay.
Let me add this. Let me just ask you, Lalo, as we wind down this one. In addition to this plan as well, many think that, look, in order to also keep the economy afloat and sustain the economy, as this plan is going to outline to do, we need to plug leakages. Now, with the removal of the fuel subsidy, many will expect that the PPPRA will constitute a drain, and something should happen to that. As a matter of fact, if you look at the refineries, for instance, I don't think they've posted any revenue for over 10, almost 15 years. In fact, some of the figures we stumbled across, we actually found when looking through, indicated that that's the refineries now, they have a combined loss of 154 billion and 149.2 billion in 2018 and 2019 in that order. Now, if you look at our revenue to debt service ratio, that's over 66%. So with all of these leakages, you may just trying to sort one challenge out, but if you don't address these leakages, where does that leave us?
Thank you, Chamberlain. Very good observation. Indeed, there are leakages, and I can tell you that there are ongoing diligent efforts to address the leakages. Whether it's in the area of revenues, whether it's in the area of expenditure. For instance, don't forget that I believe that we have discovered probably running into hundreds of thousands of ghost workers that were on the payroll, the federal payroll, that have been removed, saving the government billions of naira on a monthly basis. We have the TSA, which ensures that, the people in charge of the country, the president, the vice president, the ministers, and everybody generally, you can see how much money is coming in, at every given time, so that it's not possible for somebody to go and hide money somewhere like it used to be. The finance minister just announced, after FEC last week, that the finance ministry is going to be taking more interest and oversight even in the activities of the of agencies that generate revenue. They're going to be playing a more active role,
right,
just so we are sure that money is coming in and not just going for purposes that are essentially don't serve the national interest, so that a lot of these monies will now be coming into the national coffers. A lot of things that we are doing to ensure that many of those leakages are leaked, because indeed you are correct. We have to leak those leakages, so we have to block those leakages in order for us to be able to get the resources that we want and put in the hands of Nigerians. Like, for instance, we are planning to put solar panels in 5 million homes, and we are targeting homes that don't even have access to the national grid. What do I mean by that?
All right, Lalu.
Homes that has no connection to electric power. We are planning to put solar panels in 5 million of such homes, and we're going to impact 25 million.
All right, we need to
Nigerians
anchor at that point,
process.
actually.
They're going to be having light from solar.
Okay, well, we need to anchor at that point. Lalu Akonde, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. Thank you for your thoughts this morning.